You know, the 1979 Oscars that were given out in 1980, there was a little bit of pushback because of Dustin Hoffman and Kramer versus Kramer, his performance in it, winning Best Picture and Best Lead Actor. Because this movie appeared on TV in 1979 and definitely is the greatest movie of 1979. The only negative was it wasn't released theatrically. It was the ABC Movie of the Week, which saw a much better actor than Dustin Hoffman at the height of his acting prowess. And you're probably saying, you know, what kind of crazy he's talking about? Who's a better actor than Dustin Hoffman? Well, I mean, anybody knows TV and movies. Peter Strauss is a way better actor than Dustin Hoffman. So today we're going to be talking about the movie that put track and field and crime movies together, the Jericho Mile. Now, the Jericho Mile is a 79 Emmy Award-winning U.S. made-for-TV crime film directed by the great Michael Mann. The film won 5 awards, including 3 Emmys. The story is set at a Folsom prison where the film was shot on location, and the prison staff itself among the prison population, so they have the staff and the prisoners as extras in the movie. Now, in the film, Larry Murphy is serving first-degree murder in Folsom for shooting his father, which he feels was justified because his father was raping his stepsister. In prison, he is nicknamed Lickety-Split by the other inmates, but remains a loner while there's only one person he calls a friend, a black inmate called Strauss. The film centers around the obsession for running around the prison yard. Larry has no idea how fast he's actually running until the prison psychologist, played by the great Jeffrey Lewis, has the prison sports writer time him. Once the warden, Billy Green Bush, finds out how fast Murphy is, he has the state track and field coach, Ed Lauder, bring up a couple of his distant runners to run against Murphy. Murphy beats him easily and ultimately allows the track coach to train him in anticipation of the upcoming Olympic trials. Before that can happen, however, a new track has to be built to proper specs in the yard for Murphy to run on so he can register an official time to be eligible to compete at the Olympic trials. The warden asks the inmates to volunteer to build a new track. Now, Strauss managed to swing a deal with the head of the White Gang, Dr. D, played by award-winning actor Brian Dennehy, to get a conjugal visit with his wife 3 months early so he can see his new baby. Instead of Strauss' wife showing up, one of Dr. D's drug mules is put in her place so that Strauss can bring in some drugs. Strauss refuses to participate and goes back to his cell, resulting in the mule getting arrested. Strauss tells Murphy what happened, and Murphy convinces Strauss to go into isolation. Strauss is eventually killed after prisoners are let out, and the conflicts continue with Murphy and the White Gang and the Black Gang as a result. And you see Murphy in the movie is not with the whites or the blacks, he's by himself. The White Gang eventually boycotts the building of the track and forms a picket line that the other gangs refuse to cross. As the story continues, the truth unfolds and a gang fight ensues, and the blacks and the Hispanics challenge the validity of the picket line. The track is eventually built and Murphy clocks a qualifying time while beating Frank Davis, considered to be one of the fastest milers in the U.S., to be able to compete in the Olympic trials. Murphy is then called before the U.S. Olympic Board, where it is learned that it was never the board's intention to let a convicted murderer compete at the Olympic trials. Murphy is antagonized by the board member to try to find out if Murphy is sorry for what he did to his father. In a fit of anger, Murphy admits he would blow him away all over again, given the same set of circumstances. With his shot at the Olympics over, life at Folsom Prison returns to normal. Murphy hears that Frank Davis qualified for the Olympics with an exceptional time. He then goes into his cell and grabs a stopwatch, given to him by Dr. Janowski, and he spikes. Murphy sets himself up on the start line with the obvious intention of seeing how he would have done had he raced against Davies. Murphy races as hard as he can while grabbing the attention of the prison inmates once more. As he crosses the finish line, a group of inmates are waiting with huge anticipation as to how Murphy did. An inmate grabs a stopwatch and yells out that Murphy bet Davis' time, at which point Murphy throws the stopwatch against the prison wall, smashing it to pieces. This is considered one of the most important TV movie scenes of the 1970s. I think the movie's public domain if you watch it. It's well put together. Now, Rexford L. Metz gave great cinematography in this, as did the great editor Arthur Schmidt, to put it all together. Now, 97 Minutes, ABC Circle Films was the production company, came out on March 18, 1979, which I think was part of the early spring Nielsen ratings draw. Now, music by Jimmy Haskell, and besides Peter Strauss, again, Roger E. Mosley of Magnum P.I. fame is in it, and again, Richard Lawson plays Styles, of course. Now, the film originates a story by Patrick Nolan, and according to Strauss, Nolan was an English professor at Villanova, and a story sat on the shelf until he expressed a desire the ABC to do something totally contrary to what I had played in previous roles. Michael Mann from Chicago was brought in to write the script. Now, Mann had been waiting to direct a TV movie for ABC, and originally his project was to be Swan Song, ultimately directed by Jerry London, but that was delayed due to injury of departed lead actor, the great David Soul. Now, Mann had been hired by Dustin Hoffman to do a rewrite to the film Straight Time, based on a novel by Eddie Bunker, and as part of his research, Mann spent a long time with Bunker and visited Folsom Prison. Now, Mann in his visit became fascinated by life inside the prison, which was, he says, was run by three gangs: the Black Guerrillas, the Bluebirds, later the Aryan Brotherhood, and the Mexican Mafia. It was as our whole of the bodily politic, our culture, our society had all been compressed into a geographically compressed space, he says, almost like a lab experiment, a bad lab experiment. And so all the dynamics that were outside were inside on steroids. Now, Strauss said he was so impressed by Mann's script, I asked if he could direct it. He ran 70 miles a week for preparing for the role. Now, Strauss's fee for the ABC movie around this time was pretty high, $200,000. Now, Mann secured permission to shoot in the prison itself, and recalling, we were told by the warden that there'd be individual stabbings, and that happens routinely. But if there was a gang war or a race war, they'd throw us out and we couldn't finish shooting. And we had 28 convicts in major roles in the picture, so I wanted to organize it in a way that this wouldn't happen. So through Eddie Bunker, I was able to talk to people who ran ME, the Black Guerrillas, and also the Hells Angels, and Taff Harleyed about 8 or 9 of each 9 groups guys to be actors in the film. And a deal I made with them, the quid pro quo, was that there can't be a gang war and there can't be a race war while we're in there. And so there was still violence around us. I thought that the actors would be terrified. I thought the crew would be okay, but the actors would be intimidated. It was just the other way around. The actors just kind of integrated whatever they were playing. Among the cast was former convict turned playwright Miguel Pinheiro, who Mann says was popular with the inmates. He was Peter Strauss, a big star from Rich Man, Poor Man, but Pinheiro was the guy everybody wanted to meet. Prisoners would bring him glasses of water with a napkin wrapped around it so his fingers didn't get wet. These small gestures of respect were their form of courtesy. Now, as for working with Mann, he said in a published report, I just adore him. He's one of the finest directors I ever worked with. If he asked me to do something, that was the pits for me. I do it. Let's see. What would be the pits? Three's Company. I would do that for him. The Jericho Mile is not a film about prison or prison reform. There are no rape scenes in a shower, no banging of cups on dining room tables. It's a study of a human being who was at the lowest point of our social structure. To care about him, to find ways to create in him hope and expectation. It's one of the most extraordinary films I ever made for TV. Now, before Shawshank Redemption became the major political force of the 1990s about prison life, this wasn't. Because it wasn't cliche, it was basically a guy running from himself, from his past, but running was basically his drug. And he did nobody else you want to be a part of, because it's in the mind. Running is in the mind, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen people that were dying of cancer and running marathons, or just were diagnosed with cancer, and it wasn't fully, it wasn't stage 2 yet. They were still doing it because that's their life. Running is their life. Now, as for the movie itself, the Christian Science Monitor, which had Big Plug as a reviewer at the time, called it a minor TV classic. Not in my mind a minor TV classic, 4.5 stars for sure. The LA Times said it has such scope, energy, and potential, it should have been a theatrical feature. Thus it said with the Hoffman. The New York Times praised it as outstanding performances. Now, the movie was the 7th highest show of the week. The 6 higher ones were all regular series, so again, it won its time slot. Now, the Emmy Awards, it won Outstanding Film Editing for a Limited Series or Special for Arthur Schmidt, Outstanding Lead Actor Limited Series or Special, Peter Strauss, Outstanding Writing in a Limited Series or Special, Patrick J. Nolan and Michael Mann. And the American Cinema Editors, it won the Eddie Award, Best Edited Television Special, Arthur Smith, of course. Directors Guild of America, Outstanding Directorial Achievement Special for TV, Actuality, Michael Mann. Unfortunately, it didn't win for Outstanding Drama or Comedy, but as we know, Lonesome Dove also lost. Now, research on a project led to material that eventually led to Mann's big screen classic, his debut feature, Thief. Now, the Emmy Awards, 1979, were a very, very interesting year because very high quality. But in this level, we had miniseries, movies, British specials, international. That's probably between 1976 with Roots and probably well into the 1980s with the Lonesome Dove and all the big specials. It was a glorious time for TV. And I tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say it to Dustin Hoffman's face and I'll say it to Peter Strauss' face. Dustin, give Peter your award because you're not the best actor. Usually the Oscar goes to the best actor of the year. And in this one, Peter Strauss ran Dustin Hoffman into the ground. Kramer versus Kramer is just a soap opera episode, like an hour and a half or like a double episode. It's good, but it's not great. Jericho Mile, there's a lot of shit going on there. Holy freak. You know, I've been surrounded by prison culture. A lot of my relatives have served Dorchester, Renus, Spring Hill, the Maritime prisons. That's what it's like. And if you know the story of Donald Marshall walking the yard, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes all you have is a yard to stop you from being, damaged in the cells, as we say. So Peter Strauss, the performance is 5-star. The movie has its issues because not all of them are big actors. But when Peter Strauss outacts somebody as good as Brian Dennehy, that's pretty amazing. Brian Dennehy can chew up scenery like you wouldn't believe. But Peter Strauss, Rich Man, Poor Man, Tender as the Night, Masada, all the great movies, tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our review of the Jericho Mile as part of our Screenshots Remote Control regular column. If you like what we're doing here, if you like Peter Strauss, and tell me if that's one of your favorite performances or what is your favorite performance of the great actor. Let me know. And don't forget, it's pennant season in Canada, but we got 6 teams going for the wild card, and we got an election. It's an exciting week in Canada. So take a break this week. Go into my podcast channel. Over 2,000 podcasts on sports, news, entertainment, all kind of different stuff. There might be something you like. Put in your favorite name of your actor, TV show. There might be something there. And you're saying to yourself, how can someone do 2,000 podcasts? Well, ladies and gentlemen, 13 minutes at a time. Have a good day. Bye.